Hi, this is Dr. Amity Dew, and I am with CW's Online Learning. Today we're going to talk about how to do a Works Cited page in MLA format. So what I have up here is an example of a formatted Works Cited page. And there's a couple of things that I'd like you to notice. One is if you look in the top right corner, you'll see that it has the student's last name. The student's last name is student. It's a coincidence. And then the page number, it's the last page and it is paginated with the other pages. So don't put in a page 1 there. Make sure it has a page number. The second thing is that it has the words Works Cited, and that is centered, and there's no bold and there's no underline, and it's in Times New Roman and 12-point font. So please make sure that you use that. The next thing that you'll notice is that the works that are cited are also in alphabetical order. So Carollo is an author, Doksik, Lang, Ogilvy, the word nearly, and then Ryan. And you'll see that they're last name, comma, first name, period. So please do make sure that that is done correctly. Something else that you'll want to know is that when you are doing this format, the second and third lines are indented. For the purposes of this demonstration, on the first one I did not indent it. I want to show you how to do that. It's called a hanging indent, and all you do is just highlight the area that's going to be indented, and then you scroll up to the top, make sure that you can see the grid, see the ruler, and see where it says hanging indent. If you go just a little bit below it, it says left indent. You don't want that. You want the one that says hanging indent. You're just going to scoot that over 5. And then every line after that will be indented by 5 until you hit return. So that's how you set up the Works Cited page. Now what in the world are we going to do about all of this junk in here so that it looks right? And then it conforms to the standard. And why do we have standards anyway? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. We have these standards so that people within a discipline can easily find and show where they got information with each other. So in this part of the tutorial, we will cover how to cite a book, a scholarly journal, and electronic sources, specifically web pages. So let's talk about citing a book in MLA format. This is probably going to be the most common citation that you'll find besides scholarly journals and websites. So to cite a book in MLA, you'll use the author's last name, or a book with a single author's name appears. It's last name, comma, first name, period. All right. And then the title of the book is going to be italicized. The city of publication comes next, with a colon followed by who published it and the year of publication. Medium of publication for a book is usually in print, although with more books going to ebook, it may go to digital format. So here's an example of it. Sherman Alexie wrote a book called What I've Stolen, What I've Earned. It's a wonderful book of poetry, in case you're interested. And it would be Alexie, comma, Sherman. What I've Stolen, What I've Earned. Brooklyn is where it was printed. New York is the place of publication, and actually that should say Hanging Loose Press instead of New York. And then the year is 2014, and then print. So what if there are 2 authors? You just add the second person's name. So the first one is last name, comma, first name, period, and then the next one is first name and last name. It looks like this. So this is Paula Gillespie and Neil Lerner. And actually this is one of the books that we use in the English classes. So it seems pretty easy so far, right? Nothing too tricksy. Let's make it a little more interesting. So scholarly journals, let's talk about those for a minute. When a journal calls itself scholarly, there's a very specific definition for that. That means that people that are experts in the field have looked at the publication and said, yes, this fits in, it conforms to the standards of our particular discipline. So usually what happens is someone will send an article to a publisher. The publisher will find 3 people who are experts in that field, who have done a lot of peer-reviewed publishing. Send it to those 3 people. They'll send feedback with a yes or no, or maybe this needs to be revised. And then it'll either be accepted and published or not. So a lot of times these are published in either a book or a magazine format. And even though it's printed, it'll be uploaded electronically. And then most of the libraries, like the CWU library, purchase the electronic versions of these, even though they are originally available in print. So this could be a nightmare if we don't know what we're doing. So let's kind of walk through this a bit. So even when you find something online, there are still book style pages you have to think about. And that is because if you publish a journal and it has, I don't know, 500 pages, that's a big journal, but they are out there. Typically, they're only 100 to 200 pages, but you get 1,000-page journals that are only published once and twice a year. So in that stack, the article that you're citing will show up physically within it on certain page numbers, and you need to figure out which page numbers those are. And articles usually run about 20 pages. 20 to 25 is pretty common. So here is the format for doing that. So you put in the author's names, last name, comma, first name, period, and then of course if there are other ones, you'll use first and last names. And then the title of the article will go in quotation marks. And remember, instead of using regular quotation marks, we're going to use rock star quotation marks, right? Because we're rock stars. Looks like that. Okay. I wish I could say I made that up. It's actually Dane Cook. Always give credit where credit is due. In italics, you will give the title of the journal, and then after that will be the volume and the issue, and the year goes in parentheses, and then a colon, and then whatever page numbers it shows, and then the medium of publication. If the publication is printed physically, you will put print. But if it's not, if it's only available electronically, you'll put web. Let's see what that looks like, and then what in the world a volume and an issue are. So this is an article by Tong Laga and several others entitled Wetland Changes and Their Responses to Climate Control Change in the Three River Headwaters Region of China Since the 1990s. And the name of the publication is Energies, in parentheses, 1996107.3, in parentheses. Okay, so then you see this thing that says 7.4 2014. So that means that it was printed in 2014. That's the year. Volume 7, issue 4. Volumes are however many years you've been publishing it. So these guys have been publishing, this is their 7th year of publication. And so if you started in, say, 2004, and then this is your 10th year of publication, you'd have volume 10. Issue is within that particular year, how many have you published? This is their 4th issue in their 7th year of publication. Make sense? Okay. These guys, their page numbers are 2,515 to 2,534. And that's just got to be a huge publication. And then academic search complete, and then web, and then the date that was accessed. This means that this is, I used academic search complete to do it. So something is different on that. You'll notice that it said academic search complete and then a date. So when I do a search through the library, I got that one through the CWU library, I used academic search complete, and then I give the date that I accessed it. So if you are going to be using the CWU library databases to do this, that's the way that you're going to cite your scholarly journals. Okay, so here's a question that I come up with a lot. Why isn't there a URL? Why isn't there like a stable, just click this and it'll go to it? You can do it. It's not going to get you in any trouble. Usually your teachers won't grade you down for that. But the latest MLA says that URLs are no longer necessary. They used to be pretty unstable, and then once they got stable URLs, then it was a good way to go. But now with the DOI system, which is a whole nother video, it's totally not necessary. Okay, let's move on to basic website information. So if you were going to cite an organization or like this Encyclopedia Britannica, Purdue OWL, which I often cite, in fact, that's what we're using for the purposes of this demonstration, you want to be able to say where you got information. And remember that within a website, they'll have like the home page, and then they'll have a bunch of pages off from that, and all of those pages will be linked together. So not only do you need to kind of give an idea of where the home page is, but you need to talk about what page or what article within that website and where you got stuff. So it's kind of exciting actually to think about, and how can we organize this information in a way that other people can find it easily. I'm not going to go through this ad nauseum, but this is set up long enough that you can just pause the video, have a look at it, and see, you know, hey, what is the order that this goes in? So that is a ton of information, but do realize that not all websites have that kind of information. Use what they have in the order that they have it listed. So that's kind of just a piece of reference material for you. Also, websites don't have page numbers. So if you're trying to look for, say, Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail, his essay that way, you're not going to write down like page 4 from a website, because that'd just be weird. It doesn't correlate like that at all. You'd have to use paragraph numbers. So you're not going to be able to use a page number if you find stuff on a website. So if you don't know the publisher name and if you don't know the publishing date, because often those will show up at the very bottom in tiny script on a website, just put NP and ND if there isn't one given. So here's a good example and a wonderful place to find more information. The Purdue Online Writing Lab, that's what OWL stands for. Family of Sites, which is the kind of the name of the website, and then the Writing Lab and OWL at Purdue and Purdue University. 2008 is when they published it. And then I accessed this April 23rd. Oh wait, no, this is just the example. They accessed it April 23rd, 2008. So there you go. So that's a little more about how to work with Works Cited pages. Remember that your format is important. It's probably the most common mistake to get that formatting part incorrect. So I would suggest that you look at the first part of this video 2 or 3 more times, and then send us an email if you have questions. We do look forward to hearing from you, and good luck in your future endeavors.